Hello, welcome back. 12 days of CIMUS. We are on day 9. It's hard to believe we've gotten so far and the sort of the final stretch of this. Today we're going to talk about Sonnetus Mirabilis. Welcome to December 29th. There's a few things on our agenda. We're going to first talk about what Sonnetus Mirabilis is. We're going to talk about what we need to do to prepare to listen to something. And you're going to create your own pre- and post-listening activities to one of the episodes of Sonnetus Mirabilis. And then, of course, we're always going to follow up with the 3 C's because it's very important to me and to Miriam that everything we do is compelling, is comprehensible, and is caring. So what is Sonnetus Mirabilis? It's a serial podcast. It is a story that goes through 6 different podcasts. They're all kept relatively short so that they don't push kids past their attention span. It's kept simple. It uses sheltered vocabulary with audio support. When a door is closed, you hear a door being closed. And it's a compelling mystery. What's happening in Marla's world? We don't know. It ends on cliffhangers. It has lots of things to be answered. But the main crux of it is listening practice. That is a story. Hopefully what happens is students are listening for the story and they forget that they're listening to Latin. So preparing to listen. The thing about listening that's different than reading is just that it exercises a different part of your skill set. For example, me, I actually don't listen as easily as I read. I am not an oral learner. Podcasts are very difficult for me to learn from. I have to be exercising or cleaning the house or tearing down a wall in my house, because that's also something I'm just as likely to do. Or something along those lines that's physically demanding but not too mentally demanding so that I can have something physically going on while I'm listening, or I won't listen. I just won't. My mind will wander. I will do something else in my mind. And by the time I realize I've done that, I've lost the stream of whatever's supposed to be happening. So I am not good at listening to podcasts in and of themselves. So keep that in mind for your students. They really may need something more to do to engage with that. And we'll talk about that in a second. So before you're listening, though, the same thing with a reading, you need to prepare them. You should preview vocabulary. You should look at your vocabulary and make sure that that they know it and that they feel comfortable with it before they have to go to listening to it when it's going to be used at a speed that is very slow but could be faster than they're ready for if they are not properly prepared. You should discuss expectations. We've seen this vocabulary. What do we think is going to happen in this story? We left off on this cliffhanger. What do we think might happen today? Create possible scenarios. Again, that kind of goes back to that prediction type of thing. What are some things that we think could happen today based on what we know so far? Again, what that does is it gives them something specific to listen for, which makes it a little bit easier for them to focus in on what's happening. Oh, went too fast. And then after you listen, you're going to engage with the story. You can do something interactive, and these are actually all linked to things that I did for the first 2. So for interaction, I created one where we listened to part 1 and they had to take the sentences that I gave them, you can see them right here, and put them in the correct order. And then they had to write a couple sentences. And I talked about this in episode 6, day 6 of 12 Days of CIMUS, where they wrote and recorded 2 sentences about what Marla sees at the end of Pars Prima. What was really cool is I did require, you can see this, they have to add sound effects. And I wasn't sure how that would go. I just sort of threw that in there to see how it would do, which is something I do sometimes to see how much my students can step up, and they really did. And I don't have their names on this, so I just went ahead and included it. So I've got their predictions here of what they thought would happen. So I gave them each a sheet to fill out. where spaces, and they had to write notes about the student stories, and then they had to pick one that they vote for the one they thought they liked the best. And then around the room, I put these QR codes that went to the stories, and any words that they used in it, like here and there, to make a scary ending to Marla's first episode. For Sonitus Mirabilis, they might need a word here or there, so I added any words that they may need in with each story. And then they listened to these stories, these 1 to 2 sentences with sound effects. And so you can check them out. Some of them are better than others. Some of them really got creative. A couple of them actually made a song out of theirs. So I thought it was really, really cute. And so they will surprise you what they can come up with. All right. And then something that can be done either while they listen is to create visuals, or after they listen. The while they listen, the strength there is that they are, for those people who are like me, for your students who are like me, who really can't engage with something that's purely oral, if they're drawing while they're doing that, that gives them a chance to give something to it and put some energy into something while they're listening. And that helps. And then we're going to talk about literary discussion as a separate thing. So if you will stay with me, we're going to do the literary discussion as part of our creating. So for episode 3, because I haven't actually created things, we did a lot of things on the board for the other episodes. So for episode 3, let's create a mini unit. Sonitus Mirabilis, episode 3. There's supplies. You're going to need Sonitus Mirabilis, episode 3. I've linked it right there. You're going to need a word cloud. You're going to need a picture, and you're going to need a Google slide to do this all on. So I'm going to actually pull up the Google slide first, so that I have that ready to go. And then I'm going to pull out the word cloud. And this is just, there's actually many word cloud programs. Wordle's the most popular and most famous, but over time, Chrome stopped supporting their version of Flash, and the fact they never updated bothered me, so I just moved on to other word clouds. And the one I picked is not as user-friendly, but I really love the fact that I can pick shapes. And then I picked just a goofy picture to go with it. Now let's pull up Sonitus Mirabilis 3. All right, so one of the cool things that Miriam did when she posted these is she also posts the scripts for them. So if you look, when you go into your subscription access to this, you'll see that there's a script for the whole thing. So you can actually just take that script and copy all of it, Control C. I'm actually going to get rid of the English words there, Control C. And then you can go on to the word cloud generator. All right, I am not a first time user, so I am going to go. That said, go to the typography tool. Nope. Word list. There we are. Get rid of all of that. And Control A, by the way, many things will just select everything. So you don't have to like actively select. All right, and then I'm pasting. It doesn't matter, the punctuation won't apply, but I will be getting rid of all of the English that she has in here as part of her script. And then as I get rid of this, I'm about to go push for it to create a word cloud. And then we'll talk about why don't know why I couldn't get to that. Slow down, computer. All right, so I've got that. I've typed everything in. I'm going to scroll down and hit apply. It's syntactically incorrect. I don't care. I don't even know what that means. I didn't have this problem last time. Please excuse me while I work on the computer not doing anything for me that I want. There. So, as mentioned before, not super user friendly. Ha! And it wasn't. So, going back to this. So, what I was failing to do was hit the paste type text dialog so that I wouldn't have to deal with all of that. So now it is much better. Hit apply. It's perfectly happy now. It doesn't matter if I didn't have the syntax perfect. And here it creates a cloud. This one's shaped like a fish. And you can actually go in and play with shapes. See? And so you can do all kinds of things. You could have it shaped like a mouse. You can change the color themes. You can do all kinds of things with it. So I love it. And it's I have it always set by use. So the biggest thing on here is Marla. So I want to decide that this is great. This is exactly what I want. And so now I am going to save the image. Or not. My dialogues are going slow. There we are. Ouch. All right. Die as Marla. Okay. And then this is the picture and word art for Sonitus Mirabilis 3. We'll put the word art on it first. Let's go all the way down to this. So you can put this there. And you have word art that you can talk about. And what I like to do with these is there's actually multiple things I do. I've passed it out to students and had them circle words they don't know so that we could talk about them. I've had us talk about the biggest words and talk about what we think is going to be happening, make predictions based on the vocabulary in front of them. We've done lots of things with word art. That might actually be something that I put up at some point for a different webinar or create along. Is a whole bunch of things you can do with word art. But there you go. So you can start with a little bit of word art and kind of get some of that vocabulary down. And then I liked this picture because I thought it was fun and it kind of gets into the mood yet doesn't. So I'm literally just going to copy the image. Technically, this is not Creative Commons, so this is not the type of thing that you should use and then sell online, which I'm not going to do. And so there's a lot going on in this picture, but in this case with a picture description, think about what Miriam showed you on day 1 of the 12 days of CIMAS. This has a lot that you can use to talk about the buildup of what's happening in Marla's house, talk about how spooky the house is. Is there someone in Marla's house? Is there someone dead in Marla's house? What's going on? Is she seeing things? Is she missing things? What are these two people doing? Are they alive or dead? You know, you can just really play with, you can look at the door and talk about that. Talk about walking in and out of the house. What are they looking at? So you can kind of play with the two images there. So that's what I would actually do to do the beginning. And then you can actually, in the same thing, you can actually then listen to the thing and then do your discussion questions. And I'm just going to do them really quickly here. So you can either let the kids prepare them. I am super lazy with these sometimes, and I'm sorry about that, but I am. I like teaching them to support their statements. So I would do some questions like, Qualis est Marla? And then I would follow that with, Quomodo scimus? So they talk about what kind of person Marla is by third episode. What is she doing? She keeps like having these weird things happen and then she ignores them. So are there really weird things happening, or is it all in Marlo's head? We could talk about that. And how do we know? So what's the evidence from the story that supports this? So this is basically the pattern I would do for all of those. Qualitas Marla, maybe esne homo in domo, unintended rhyme. How do we know? And quid in fabula terens est. Quid in fabula non terens est. So we talk about what's scary and what's not scary and why that is. And so we have the ability to have a very limited discussion using vocabulary we've been working on very intensively about the story in Latin. So hopefully you see kind of a way to build a very quick unit around Sonnetus Mirabilis 3. The big thing is treat it like you would a reading. 3 C's. It is comprehensible. Sound effects for context. The vocabulary is kept very limited, and then you can always add levels of comprehensibility by the way you prepare them for it. It's compelling. It's a mystery. It always ends on cliffhangers. In episode 3, she turns and sees someone in her doorway, and her door closed on its own. And then it's carrying, because you create these activities that not only draw them into it, but again, make it comprehensible, pull them into the story a little bit so that they're completely prepared when they get to approach it. So hopefully you'll get a chance to take advantage of these great podcast stories that Miriam has put together. And hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow on the 12 Days of Sea Imus.